Yo! Ladies and gentlemen, if there's one thing about this season that I find very interesting, it is how these housemates think they've clocked the game in itself. Yeah? This Big Brother game. It's how they think. In fact, they believe with all manner of confidence that they have clocked the game. But then it turns out that they are playing themselves. In fact, they are really playing themselves dirty. Because I watched that whole scenario between Faith and the majority of the housemates. In fact, almost all of them. I watched that whole interaction. The way Faith was desperately trying to clear his name, trying to explain his side of all the negative narratives that's being spun around the house about him, especially about his situation with Imisi and several other people in the house. I watched Faith struggle to explain himself. But guess what? These housemates, instead of listening, they just kept on antagonizing. They kept on antagonizing. And at the end of it all, it dawned on them, not me, because guys, I've been seeing things play out the way they've been playing out. Here's the reason I've been making the videos I've been making, telling you all the truth and the facts of the matter, right? So it turned out that most of the information that they thought they knew or they thought they had, or probably just deliberately, they had been wrongly accusing Faith. They had been wrongly antagonizing this guy. It was so funny to see. And all thanks to Joanna, who stood firm on the truth. Because on most of those occasions where, Faith had had issues with one or two other housemates, she had been present. She had been a witness. Now, although when those things happened, she did not necessarily take his side, probably by the fear of not being targeted, as one of Faith's friends, right? So she had been mute sometimes. Other times, she had not really said anything, probably just joined the bandwagon to castigate him. But yesterday, there was a new Joanna. Joanna was unleashed. Joanna said no. She's not going to continue doing this nonsense, kumbaya nonsense. So instead, she stood on business. She was defending Faith and she was spilling the truth and the facts of the matter. And guys, even in the course of all of that interaction, it turns out there were even things that we did not see that were actually revealed. And it was quite shocking to me that some of the housemates knew certain information about certain situations that involved Faith and Imisi, but they chose to keep quiet about it. Why? Because, they don't like Faith, or they do not want to be seen as victimizing Imisi or bullying Imisi, or for whatever weird reason that they have. So ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into this video and I will share with you all the details, all right? There was also a serious, heated altercation between Rude Boy and Thelma yesterday. I'm going to tell you all about it because we have some very, very interesting things that Thelma said that I cannot just let go. I'm going to tell you all about it. We're going to dissect it all right? And also, there was a crazy situation between Faith, Mensan, and Kuture. For that one, I'm going to be dragging Faith because Faith really pissed me off yesterday. He really pissed me off. And I have a lot to say, all right? So please make sure you watch this video to the end. Don't skip out on any part. There's a lot you do not want to miss out on because there are a lot of vital things that were revealed yesterday, all right? So please watch this video to the end. And you're all welcome to my channel. My name is Bbnaija. This is Frankly Speaking with Bbnaija, and I am the girl with the tea. Without further ado, let's dive right into the rest of the video. Yesterday, there were some random conversations in the house, and Faith was at the center of it all. Now, it was in that conversation that, now I'm going to be frank with all of you, I don't know how the conversation started, but where I started from or maybe where the cameras was heavily on that conversation, was the housemates, especially the guys, they were telling Faith that, so if they were to give him 150 million to sleep with Imisi in the same bed, will he not take up the offer? And he said he will not take up the offer. They said, okay, if Big Brother were to instruct you, order you to spend the night, like sleep in the same bed with Imisi, will you not do it? He said he will not do it. And they said, but 150 million naira is a lot of money. 80 million naira is a lot of money. Won't you take it? Won't you do it? He said, listen, by his own volition, he will not find himself in that kind of close proximity with Imisi because of the many issues they've had. He doesn't like the girl. The girl does not like him. It's a mutual thing. He will not. But if he is paid to sleep on the same bed, like, okay, he sleeps here, Imisi sleeps here, he's going to do it, but it will not be for free. But it's not going to even be a situation where they cuddle or get intimate. That it will never happen. And he was saying all of that, but the whole house, like, they were, hey, it's a lie, it's a lie, it's a lie. Not the usual way now that they try to stifle this guy, like they tried to trample on him, and it was just so crazy. And that was where Faith was saying that, no, that the thing is, he doesn't understand what they are defending. That for him, this is his own stance. He cannot be friends with this girl. He can never be friends with this girl anymore. That in the very first 2 weeks of this house, he was the one person that was making conscious efforts to be friends with Imisi, to be there for her when the whole house was bullying this girl. But then all of a sudden, she started demanding for sexual favors. He rejected her. He told her he did not find her attractive. And so they can only be friends and nothing more. He even mentioned that Imisi was asking for a kiss, and that she would be rubbing her boobs and all those things that she'd be doing, all those harassing nonsense that she used to do to him, that he kept on rejecting her. And she told him that she does not take rejection well. And so she was going to deal with him in this house. Guys, Faith started taking out time to list out the many things that Imisi had done that led up to where they are currently in the house. But you see, whilst he was talking, the other housemates, Mensan, Rude Boy, Jason J especially, they were heavy on this guy's neck. They did not want him to talk. They did not want him to express himself. And that was where Joanna, started stepping in from time to time. When Faith wants to talk, she would shush them up that, hey, push, allow him talk. And they would try to calm down. Faith would try to talk. And then, hey, you push, you calm down, you push. So she was the one that was trying to moderate that whole conversation, just so that Faith will be heard. And because she by her own self has also monitored and, observed the whole situation that, okay, anytime this guy wants to express himself, people are always shutting him up. They're always trying to stifle him. Hence the reason it looks like, oh, he's always aggressive when he wants to speak, because they don't ever want to give him a chance to talk. So she was trying her best to moderate that conversation so that Faith will have his say. And to some extent, she succeeded. Now, it was in the course of that conversation that Faith had said that for him, he believes that if you are a friend to Imisi and you are condoning all of these things that she's doing in the house, then it tells him a lot about your character. That was the same thing he said to Kola the night that Imisi hid all the spoons in the house. That he told Kola, Mensan was there, that any of you that are friends with Imisi while she's doing all of this nonsense, there's something wrong with you. Now, Kola had joined the conversation, and of course, he had picked offense. The likes of Rude Boy, Mensan, Jason J, they were hearing Faith say that, and they were like, oh, why would you say such a thing? Shut up. Like, we were trying to shut him up. Shut up. Don't say that. Shut up. And Faith was trying to explain what he meant. Well, of course, as usual, they were not listening. They were not paying attention. Anyways, Kola joins the conversation. And they were like, oh, can you say that to Kola's face? And Faith said, Kola, did I not tell you on Thursday night the same thing I'm saying? Kola agreed that, yes, you said it. Faith also mentioned that it's the same thing that if you kiss Isabella, and Isabella in this house, then it also tells me a lot about your character. Now, that was the point where Kola started questioning Faith. Okay, what do you mean? And Faith was trying to explain that for Imisi's one, Imisi is doing all of these things that she's doing, and you are still friends with her. You don't try to discourage her from pulling off most of the, provocative stunts that she pulls off in the house. It's like you're enabling her, blah, blah, blah. What does that say of you? It tells a lot about your own personality as well, your own character. So he was trying to explain that, and guys, the conversation was just going left and right. Now, Kola felt like Faith was about to clock his game. So he now threw in something, she threw in something, a big one, of course. He said, okay, for instance now, okay, yeah, most of the arguments you're having, you are always the instigator. So Faith, you are the instigator. And all of them, the other housemates, yes, you're an instigator, you're an instigator. And Faith said, listen, I need you, Kola, to prove it to everybody that in every situation I have had an altercation with someone, I was the instigator. And Faith was like, no. I mean, Kola was like, no, you cannot say that. You cannot say I should give you proof. Faith said, no, just give me proof. That's all I need. Just give me proof. Kola could not prove anything. And that was where Faith started to explain that, okay, fine. You can't prove it. I'm going to explain to you all. I'm going to prove to you all that for every single altercation I've had with people in this house, I have never been the one to start it. It is always my reaction you people see, but people never ever see how it all begins. And Joanna also attested to it as a fact. And that was where they started mentioning all the different scenarios and how all of those fights actually started. And ladies and gentlemen, by the time they were done, it turns out that almost all of those housemates were actually ignorant of all of that information, including Kola himself. Faith first explained that the reason Imisi does not like him today in the house is because of XYXYXYXYZ. Guys, we've done several videos about this over and over again, so there's no need going into the details. But they had mentioned that it was because he ultimately rejected kissing Imisi as she had been asking of him, and all of those sexual advances and whatever. She decided that she was going to make his life miserable in the house. And then she told Kola that, Kola, what you are dealing with right now, I was once in your shoes. You are miserable now. Imisi is doing all of these things that she's doing. You are miserable. You are perturbed. I was once there. So it was because he rejected this girl. That is why she's doing what she's doing to him today. Most of the housemates went quiet. They did not want to accept it. They went quiet. Faith turned on to the culture situation, the whole cigarette situation. He explained himself. So it turned out that half of them that were in that conversation, they did not even know what started that whole cigarettes issue. And Faith was asking Culture, did this happen or not? Culture will agree. Is this true or not? Culture will agree. First, Culture, did I ever have any altercation with you? Were you not the one that incited yourself? Were you not the one that started threatening me? Culture said, but bro, no do like that now. In other words, he was trying to shut Faith up. He did not want Faith to speak the entire truth. But guess what? Faith spoke the entire truth. He moved on to, who else? So, guys, Faith was just addressing every single one of the housemates and the way that they had involved themselves in a situation with them. And it turned out that, truthfully, in all of those cases, he never was the instigator. They were the ones that were the instigator. It's either they instigated that whole situation with him or somebody triggered it, but then they felt it convenient to pin it on him as the instigator. So he went on and on and on to explain himself. And you see, whilst he was explaining himself, the cameras were showing Imisi in the garden sleeping because Imisi was not inside the house. She was not a part of that conversation. Isabella was not there. Sultana was not there. I think Bart Morgan was sleeping. Yes. So Big Brother, guys, it was very obvious that Big Brother wanted an altercation, a fight between Faith and Imisi. And so what they did was they instructed the whole house to go out to the garden and lock the garden doors. And ladies and gentlemen, you see, everybody thought that Faith would be afraid of talking because Imisi was in the garden. But it's a lie. The conversations continued. It continued. So when they were in the garden, Rude Boy now brought up the whole Pepsi challenge situation. That, oh, Faith did X, Y, did that. And you see, about that one, everybody in the house had told Rude Boy that he was at fault. That in that situation, it was very easy for him to handle it. All he could have done was to have eliminated from their team the last person that joined it, which was Zita. But he refused to do it. Instead, he decided to be antagonizing Faith, who was only passing out Big Brother's instructions. So that one was there. Now, there was also the Collar's situation. Collar was still offended that Faith had said that, oh, anybody that is friends with Imisi, whilst watching her doing all of these crazy things that she's doing in the house, that person, it's either that person is dumb or Imisi is dumb, or one of them in that friendship is actually dumb for encouraging and enabling the other person to do what they are doing, because it will never make sense. That was what Faith said, and that was what was now pissing off Collar. So there was a lot of back and forths, but Faith was able to clear the air that he was not an instigator with the help of Joanna, all thanks to Joanna. And it made a lot of sense. Now, another thing that Faith had addressed in the garden was the kerosene situation with Imisi. So, ladies and gentlemen, apparently, what Jason J, Bright, and Mide were shouting about, that, oh, Faith poured kerosene in Imisi's pot of rice, that Faith poured kerosene all over the garden. Guys, that was actually a lie. Yes, that was actually a lie. Because there were witnesses. Koi and a few other people were witnesses. They saw what happened. But because they do not like Faith, they kept quiet about it. They did not want to speak the truth to power. They allowed that whole situation to happen that day. You know, the whole house rising up against Faith, making it look like he wanted to destroy Imisi's life and career in that house. So what exactly had happened, according to how it had been told yesterday in the garden, was that Faith apparently was trying to pour the kerosene in the stove into the kerosene keg, the container. It was Mide that called Imisi. Imisi, come and see, oh. Faith is trying to pour your food away, oh. It was Mide that called Imisi to come out and see what was going on. Then, when Imisi arrived at the kitchen there, when Faith was trying to pour the kerosene, Imisi was the one that was dragging the whole thing. And so she ended up splashing the kerosene everywhere. So it wasn't like Faith just came out like a madman, carried the kerosene and was pouring everywhere. No. According to Koi, and I think there was somebody else there, it was Imisi that caused that spillage. I see here, this one really pained me. I'm not going to lie. It pained me. But at the same time, I was glad that the same people that were accusing Faith of being a tyrant during his head of house reign, they are now the ones using their mouth to tell the truth about that situation. But the one question I kept on asking myself was, Koyi, you saw what happened, but you kept quiet. Why didn't you say something? Why didn't you say the truth? And you see here, Jason J, that of course hated Faith that week, he was also trying to say, Faith was the one that poured the food. And Koi and one other person were like, no, Faith did not pour kerosene in the food. He did not. And Jason was not like, okay. I was looking at this guy. My goodness. So ladies and gentlemen, fast forward to the conversation now dying down because Faith had, successfully cleared his name, that he's not an instigator. He now had a conversation with Kola. Kola was still troubled. Now, here's the fact of the matter, because I see a lot of people's reaction on social media, people saying that, oh, what is Faith's business if Kola is friends with Imisi, What they did not see that Faith was doing in that instant was Faith was letting Kola know that, dude, I have clocked your game. Because Kola was like, what do you expect me to do? Do you expect me to not be friends with somebody that cooks for me, that takes care of me? She cares for me. When I had a boil, she was the one that massaged my leg. She checks up on me. When I'm sad, she's always there for me. Kola was Imisi is always there for me. Imisi, she's a good person. She's always there for me. So because she's a good person and because she also has a bad side, do you expect me to abandon her? Kola was being very smart, saying all of those things. He was not speaking to Faith in that moment. He was directing all of his purgations to the viewers, especially to Imisi's fans. That, oh, no matter how horrible your Faith is, I am there for her. That was what he was doing. And Faith was clocking it. So in return, what was Faith saying? Faith was telling him that, Kola, I agree with you. She does all of these things for you. But you cannot tell me that you are not friends, or rather that you're friends with Imisi just because she's a good person. You're friends with her because she's resourceful to you. Now, Kola kept on asking, what do you mean by resourceful? Faith was like, well, she's resourceful to you. All of those things that you say she does for you and many other things, she's resourceful to you. Guys, it was that word resourceful that kept on breaking Kola's head. And ladies and gentlemen, if you think about it, that word resourceful, you and I know that it does not only mean that it is because Imisi cooks for Kola and cares for him. No, it is because Imisi is part of Kola's storyline. That was exactly what Faith meant. And Kola knew that Faith had clocked him. Here's the reason he kept on explaining himself, because he especially did not stop there. Oh. He went there to go and explain to Dede, and that one, Dede is crazy. Dede asked him, are you, because he told Dede, these people are saying that I'm using Imisi, and Dede was like, are you? And he said, no, listen, I'm just trying to express my feelings to you. Guys, it was just so funny. But all of that happened, and according to Kola, much later, Faith had apologized to him for saying that, him kissing Isabella, tells a lot about his character, because he did not agree with that one. He kept on saying that, they are in a social experiment. What does Faith expect him to do? That the fact that he did something once does not mean that that would define his personality, which is quite understandable, and that made a lot of sense. But then the good thing is they had actually ironed it out, and everybody had moved on with their respective lives. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I would love to hear your thoughts about that too, especially for those of you that kept on saying that, Glory Faith is an instigator, you always defend him. Now that the truth is out, I want to hear what you have to say about that, all right? Now, all of that had happened, and here I was, happy and relieved that finally Faith had redeemed himself. Faith had vindicated himself that he was not an instigator. But ladies and gentlemen, my happiness was short-lived, because out of the blues, for whatever weird reason it was, probably for the fear of eviction, probably for the fear of being sent home, Faith decided to be an actual instigator. Guys, I almost died. Faith decided to be an actual instigator, and it was just so disappointing. I said, nah, dude, you're being unreasonable. You're being very unreasonable. So this situation involved Mensan and Kuture and Faith, of course. I did not see the exact beginning of the situation, so I'm not going to say that, okay, this is actually a fact of what happened, but I will be able to say that, okay, for a fact, this is what happened from where I started watching that whole scene play out, all right? So, they were playing tennis, right, in the games area. That's Kuture and Mensan. Faith had wanted to join them, but they already had a match going on. So Faith said that they were wasting his time. He needed them to hurry up so that he could join. And then they had used the slang that they normally use for their games, that, they were playing, is it a big boys or big men's type of game or something? And according to Kuture, they can't just stop the game because Faith wants to play. He has to wait his turn. So according to Kuture, Faith had pulled away the net that divides the tennis table. that he had pulled it away. Now, I did not see that happen. I'm not sure that happened. I don't know. But he said Faith had pulled it off. Now, they were very upset, but they did not want to react. So it does not look like they are actually bullying Faith. So they had moved away from the tennis table because, according to them, Faith said if they don't allow him to play, nobody's going to play there. So they had moved away. They had moved on to the dining table. They had set up another PlayStation there. Faith had then come and said he wants to eat at the table, that it's a dining table. They're not supposed to be playing tennis there, you know. And that had really provoked Mensan. And Mensan started shouting, what's wrong with you? Like Mensan really lost it. And you see, Mensan is always going around telling people that Faith is his friend, he is Faith's friend, that whenever Faith has an issue, he's always defending Faith, which is a blatant lie. He's always going around telling people that he always has Faith's back, which is a blatant lie, because that has never happened. He always joins the whole house to castigate Faith, to crucify him. And then later on, when he has had his feel of fun and excitement, he'll now go to Faith and say, guy, what you do no good, or like what you did is bad, or don't do this again, that kind of thing. So he was now saying that he doesn't want the friendship anymore. After all, he's always been there for Faith, but Faith is always pissing him off. And whilst he was getting upset and just talking and talking, Faith was there laughing and smiling and still saying that nobody is going to play this tennis on this dining table, that he wants to eat there. Now, Kuture was getting really triggered. And so Kuture started telling Mensan to stop talking, that she stop explaining himself. But Mensan was still talking and talking and talking. So Kuture said, okay, you know what? Faith is right. It's a dining table for eating, not playing tennis. So they should move back to the tennis board, which they did. They did that. Faith followed them again and still maintained that he has to play his game. Only them cannot be playing. He wants to play. So at this point, Kuture was really provoked. And Kuture was like, I don't understand. So if we don't give you the bat to play, what's going to happen? Faith said he's going to scatter the thing. They are not going to play. So he was deliberately making problems. And Kuture got really upset and said, okay, remove the nets now. I'm playing the game you want to remove. Oh yeah, remove the nets now. Now at this point, Jason J, Coin, the other guys that were playing snooker game, they were seeing what was happening and they were really angry. And once again, they started drawing conclusions that, you see, we told you all, Faith is an instigator and look at what he's doing. And guys, Faith was really proving himself that, okay, yes, I am an instigator in this situation. And it was just so annoying because he was really pestering these guys, not allowing them to play their game in peace. Now, they left the tennis board and then they went to go and be playing the ball, like the tennis ball, between themselves behind the couch. And guess what? Faith went again and stood right there like this. He said, he's here. He's watching them. They are playing for his entertainment. I mean, guys, I'm going to be frank with all of you. It was just too childish. It was really childish. And it was quite disappointing because I'm thinking, dude, you just spent hours explaining to this house that you're not an instigator. You just spent hours clearing the air, clearing your name, which in a way, to some extent, you successfully did. And now you're trying to own that reputation that, oh yes, I am an instigator. Like, I don't understand. Where is your sense of reasoning? It doesn't really make sense. Because he did not stop there. He went and carried a chair and sat down there while those two, they were tossing and turning the tennis ball, you know, to and fro each other. And Faith was there and was like, yes, you're playing for my entertainment. In fact, let me go and get you more balls. He went to get more balls and was throwing it at them. Oh yeah, they should play. And Mensan was so angry that, you know what, he's going to flog Faith that tennis ball. And Kuture was getting so aggravated. And I was looking at Faith like, dude, what do you hope to achieve with all of this? Like, are you okay? Like, it's like you're acting unhinged right now. Is there a knot that is losing your hair? What's going on? Faith did not end there because we were telling him, Faith, move away from here. Move your chair away. Faith refused. He still sat down there like this. So they now left that situation and went to the eviction stage. You know that where the eviction door is, the podium there. They went there to go and play the tennis game. And guess what? Faith followed them again. And he sat right there, not on top of the podium, of course, but he sat right there and was looking at them like, yes, you are playing for my entertainment. Yes, now me get this house. Now me get this house. And the king of, I'm like, Which demon possessed Faith like this? Which demon possessed Faith? I mean, guys, I'm going to be frank with all of you. I was so pissed myself. As in, I was really pissed. I was so pissed and I was so disappointed because Faith acted very unreasonable. There is no justification whatsoever for his actions. I was pissed. I was irritated. I said, no, Faith, in this case, you are wrong. And it's very obvious that you are trying to instigate shit. And whatever comes out of it, you will definitely deserve the consequences. Because what you're doing right now is bullshit. What you're doing right now is provocative. Because that was exactly what he was doing. He was provoking those boys. And Mensan was so pissed that he started saying that as he's playing the tennis, he's going to use the ball to deliberately hit Faith. And we know what's going to happen from there. Mensan could end up getting a strike for physical violence. Faith might get a punishment for provocation or a strike. So I was just looking at Faith like, dude, no. Very disappointing behavior. Very, very disappointing. Because as I was watching what was happening, guys, I was putting out tweets and the reaction on social media, everybody was going wild. Everybody was now saying that, oh, you see, we said it. Faith has been the instigator all along. He's been the instigator. And I'm like, chai. Faith should have thought about this before doing this nonsense he's doing. Because that was the expected reaction. Because every other time that Faith has had issues with people, most of the time, people don't see how it all started. Cameras only get to show his reaction to make it look like he's a mad person, behaving out of character, unprovoked. But, dude, you've been able to successfully clear your name, only for you to now go back and go and start doing the nonsense that people have been accusing of. Are you okay? Guys, at that point, I felt like using slippers to go and flog sense into Faith's head because he was very annoying at that point in time. But to cut the long story short, Kuture and Mensan, they stopped playing tennis. They were so angry. Like, guys were really angry. And they were saying that, if they were outside, they would have really dealt with Faith. And guys, to be honest, you would not have even blamed them if they were outside and Faith was doing this nonsense and they beat him up. Trust me, people would have taken their side to say, yes, he deserved it. Because it was very provocative. And Kuture was so upset that he said that tennis bat, he's taking it home. If he gets evicted tonight, that was yesterday, that he's taking it home. So they all went to the kitchen and they were talking about the whole thing. I mean, all the guys especially were really angry at Faith. And Jason G, of course, the guy was more like giving himself a pat on the back that, oh yes, he was right all along. Faith is an instigator. He's a very, very provocative person, And they were saying all of these things in the kitchen. And Faith went to that same kitchen and he stood there. He was drinking water. He was looking at them and he was laughing at them. Guys, I was really disappointed. I'm sorry, I was really disappointed. I mean, if you talk about for entertainment, just like Imisi's fans will praise the nonsense that she does and call it entertainment, we could also look at what Faith was doing and call it entertainment, because at some point, as much as it was very provocative, it was kind of funny. But for me, at that point in time, I wasn't even looking at the entertainment value in what he was doing. I was looking at the damage he was doing to his reputation, to his game. Because it was very obvious that at that point in time, Faith was not thinking. He was not thinking straight. And there was also another thing at play. It was very obvious that Faith had eviction jitters. He was scared. He thought he was going to go home this week. He thought he was going to be evicted. So it felt like he was trying to create one final chaos before he left the house. Now, to some extent, it would have made sense. But for me, it did not really make sense, because the way I saw it, dude, if you were going to be evicted today, at least leave the house with a clean slate, with a clean reputation that, finally, for 7 weeks I have been misunderstood. Finally, I have successfully cleared the air. I have cleared my name. So now I'm walking out of this house with a new dossier. I'm walking out of this house with a clean report, a clean reputation. So I was really disappointed in Faith. I was really disappointed in him. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to end this video by saying that, yes, yesterday's situation, Faith was being provocative. He was being an instigator. But for every other situation that has happened between Faith and every other housemate, he was never the instigator. So let us set the record straight here. All right? And this is where I'm going to stop talking. Look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comment section below. So please go ahead and share. I would have talked about Thelma and Rude Boy's drama, but this video has become too lengthy. So I'm going to make another video about it, all right? In the meantime, thank you all so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.